Whatever you do, don't stop. You are not supposed to stand still here. Not to open the door and step out, not to look around, not to listen, not to notice the smell. Not even a train driver has that right. The embankment is built for movement, steel on steel, low friction, heavy loads moving far with as little resistance as possible. That is the idea. The invention dates back to the 19th century and is, in many ways, unchanged. What we see lying still across the landscape, this is something else. This is what truly interests me, far more than locomotive models and serial numbers. Unfortunately, because it is more reasonable to be obsessed with trains. At least then you are categorized as a nerd. But what are you if you are a person who sees magic in embankments? My eye has always searched for embankments and railway tracks. A line of cars at night can look like a train at first glance. I react to it. Is there an embankment here? Tire tracks from a car in fresh snow can for a moment resemble rails. I think, could there have been an embankment here? Even ordinary power lines across a field, running from one house to another on poles, catch my attention. I feel deceived when there are no railway tracks beneath them. It is never about the trains. Out here, you see what it is actually made of. Macadam, crushed stone, laid to drain to carry weight. Some parts are over 100 years old. In the past, the terrain could not be controlled as it is now. The line had to work its way forward. But across flat land, the engineers were not without sense. They kept the tracks straight when they were not forced by rock or water. I can feel it quite clearly in the cab, which sections are almost identical to the time when steam locomotives moved through, and which sections have been optimized over time. The surrounding nature can also feel like it belongs to another time. I notice a kind of national romanticism. No one wants to be in the immediate proximity of the railway, so it keeps its areas undisturbed over time. Most who see the trains are farmers and deer, farmers driving tractors. Sometimes we flash our lights when we see each other in our vehicles. You may see them too from the window inside the train, but only from the side. I wish more people could move above the tracks and see the farmers and the deer from the right angle, and the plants, the ones that withstand herbicides and constant disturbance. Birch trees growing in macadam, constantly exposed to winds from 200 kilometers per hour. I have learned everything about the movement of birds from the cab. Pigeons take a direction and hold their course, independent of the train. They notice nothing until they no longer exist. Birds of prey, known for their precise flight, are also common victims of the train's windshield. They seem unaware that anything can move so much faster than themselves. They often sit on the overhead line and lift cleanly when the train approaches, then dive forward and down and impact. They seem unable to calculate. Nothing remains. Magpies, on the other hand, always make it, despite their erratic movements. It looks like feathers are flying and that they do not quite know where they are going, but they always survive. In late summer, wild boars run across the track in a line, by size, like something from a cartoon, the mother first. Then the small ones close behind, as if holding the tail of the one in front in their mouths. Nothing breaks their focus. I have split such lines of wild boar several times. The mother and some of the young make it across to one side. Others are reduced to blood and tufts of fur at the front. I always wonder what happens to those that did not make it onto the track. Do they find their mother when the train has passed? Yes, the railway cuts through the landscape like a knife. New construction plans for high-speed rail are presented. I follow some of these projects myself. Week after week, for years, I see mountains being ground down and hundreds of workers in high-visibility clothing cutting forest and pouring concrete. I would like to have all the strict environmental advocates in the cab. Show them what it looks like. The railway is not pure good. Everything comes at a cost. I would tell them about the chemical trains that run and pump out herbicides along the embankment. Show all the foxes, cats, deer, and moose that I crush. But there is no reason to be bitter. What you can do is walk along the railway in the forest, or cycle. That is the best experience. Cycle beside an embankment. There are often gravel roads alongside, or you cycle on an abandoned embankment. An abandoned embankment is one of the best places you can be. I have a recurring dream. It takes place on a height above a small town by a lake. The setting in the dream is identical to reality, except that in the dream there is also an embankment that moves out of the town and away across the fields and through a forest. I am always in a strange calm when I wake from this dream. In the dream, I walk along the embankment and sometimes a slow-moving train passes. The environment resembles a common motif among painters, the abandoned embankment disappearing somewhere, guiding towards something.